What if the reason your dream feels so far away is not because they're impossible, but because fear has been driving you this whole time? And if fear is in the driver's seat, then your dream isn't helping direct your life. It's just back there bouncing around in the trunk. And that right there is what we're talking about today. Hey friends, welcome back to Ways of Change. I'm Vanessa, and this is day 97 out of 100 days of me showing up daily, sharing the journey in real time, and documenting what it looks like to build a new chapter while still standing in the middle of the old one. If you've been watching, thank you so much for being here. And if you're new, welcome, friend. Around here, we talk about mindset, reinvention, faith, healing, courage, and what it really looks like to keep going, even when the results don't show up as quickly as you'd hope. And today's topic came from a quote from Les Brown. He said, "As long as fear is sitting in the driver's seat, your dreams will be sitting in the trunk." That right there is a word. Because sometimes we say we want more. We say we're ready. We say we're trusting God. We say we're waiting on the next opportunity. But if we're really honest, fear is still guiding a lot of our decisions. So first, let me give you today's job hunt update. I didn't apply to anything today. No applications were submitted, but I did complete my engagement hour, and I'm happy to report that my follower count and post impressions on LinkedIn were up significantly in the month of March. And listen, I'm taking that as a win. A win is a win. Maybe not fireworks, maybe not viral status, maybe not pack your bags, you got the job energy, but it's still movement. And when you've been showing up consistently, posting, building, trying, learning, and planting seeds that don't always give you instant feedback, movement matters. Sometimes progress doesn't come dressed up like a miracle. Sometimes it shows up looking like traction, like increased visibility, like a little more reach, like a reminder that what you're doing is not disappearing into thin air. And I think a lot of us need that reminder, because fear has a way of making you think nothing is happening. Fear will tell you, see, it's too slow. See, nobody cares. See, you should probably stop. See, this is embarrassing. See, you're doing too much. Fear is loud. And what makes fear so dangerous is that it doesn't always sound dramatic. Sometimes fear sounds practical. It sounds wise. Sometimes fear sounds responsible even. Sometimes it'll say, wait until you know more. Wait until you feel confident. Wait until it's guaranteed. Wait until the timing is perfect. But let me tell you something. Perfect timing is one of fear's favorite disguises. Because if fear had its way, you would spend your whole life preparing and never fully stepping. And I think one of the hardest parts of growth is realizing that fear doesn't go away just because your dream is real. You could be gifted and still scared, called and still scared. You could be disciplined and still scared. You could have experience and still feel unsure. So the goal is to not never feel the fear. The real question is, friend, who gets the keys? That's the question. Because if fear is driving, it will always choose the safest route, the smallest version of your life, the least visible option, the path with the lowest emotional risk. And on the surface, that can feel smart, but over time, it becomes expensive. Not always financially, sometimes emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Because one day you look up and you realize you didn't just avoid disappointment, you avoided expansion. You avoided the stretch. You avoided the discovery. You avoided the next version of yourself. And that brings me to something else that makes today meaningful. Today is World Health Day, April 7th. And I thought that was such an interesting connection to this topic because when people hear the word health, most of the time they think physical health first. And yeah, physical health is important, no doubt. But fear affects your health too. Stress affects your health. Overthinking, constant worry affects your health. Living in survival mode affects your health. Carrying dreams you won't let breathe affects your health. There's a toll that comes from always being in your head, from constantly bracing, from shrinking, from delaying, from talking yourself out of what you know you want. Sometimes the healthiest thing you could do is tell the truth. The truth about what you want. Tell the truth about what you're afraid of. Tell the truth about what you've been hiding from. Some of us are not just tired because we're busy. Some of us are tired because we're carrying around unused potential. And that is heavy. For some people, fear is driving their career. My friend Sasha said fear is driving her relationships. James, he said fear is driving his finances. My other friend Leslie quietly said that fear is driving her silence. And for some of us, fear is driving the dream we keep saying we'll get to one day. That business, that move, that book, that channel, that application, that hard conversation, that boundary, that new beginning. And the truth is, fear doesn't mind you having dreams. It doesn't. It just doesn't want you acting on them. Fear is okay with your vision board, but it gets nervous when you start doing things on the vision board. Fear is okay with your private journaling. It gets nervous when you become visible. Fear is okay with you saying, I want more, but it gets very uncomfortable when you start moving like you believe that more is possible. So that's why I love this quote so much, because Les Brown didn't just say your dreams were gone. He didn't say they were dead. He said they were in the trunk, still there, still yours, still possible, but not in the position to help lead your life. And that's why I'm encouraged by the progress I saw in March with my follower count and post impressions, because it reminded me that consistency creates evidence, even when it's slow. And Lord knows, my YouTube views are slow, but I still have evidence. Even when you wonder whether anybody sees what you're building, if you keep showing up, eventually your life starts handing you little receipts. And those receipts matter. They may not be the whole breakthrough, but they remind you that the work is not wasted. Sometimes courage grows best when it has evidence to stand on. And sometimes that evidence is simple. I'm growing. People are seeing me. The reach is increasing. The effort is doing something. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not standing still either. This makes me think of 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I still love this verse because it reminds me that fear may show up, but it's not supposed to run the house. It's not supposed to rule your future. It's not supposed to be the loudest voice in every decision. God gave us power. God gave us love. God gave us a sound mind, not panic, not paralysis, not endless hesitation. Now, does that mean you'll never feel afraid? No. It means fear doesn't get final authority. It could speak, but it doesn't get the last word. So what do you do when you realize fear has been driving? First, you acknowledge it. You stop dressing it up as timing when it's really fear. You stop calling it being realistic when it's really hesitation. You stop pretending you're just waiting when deep down you know you're hiding. Second, you take the wheel back. Not because you suddenly feel fearless, no, but because you're tired of letting fear make every decision. And third, you let your dreams come out of hiding. You let it breathe. You let it take up space. You let it inconvenience the old version of you. Because dreams can't guide your life from the trunk. They need room. They need motion. They need participation. Your dream doesn't need your perfection, friend. It needs your willingness to move. So here's your journal prompt for today. Where in my life has fear been making decisions for me? And what would change if I took the wheel back? Sit with that for a minute. Don't rush it, because your answer might reveal more than you expected. As I close this out, this is what I want to leave you with. You don't have to be fearless to move forward. You just have to stop letting fear lead. Fear can come along for the ride if it wants to, but it doesn't get to drive. And your dreams, they deserve better than being tossed around in the back. They deserve movement. They deserve room. They deserve courage. They deserve your participation. And so do you. Thank you for being here for day 97. If this episode spoke to you, drop a comment and tell me, what dream are you tired of keeping in the trunk? And if you're in your own season of reinvention, healing, transition, or becoming, go ahead and subscribe, like, and share this episode, and come along for the journey. I'm Vanessa, and this is Waves of Change. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.